The Food and Drug Administration, FDA, is an external specialized agency under the Occupational Safety and Health Administration of the United States. Although the agency serves as the equivalent of the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in Korea, FDA is a completely independent agency since it is in charge of a highly specialized field. FDA is headquartered near Washington, D.C. in Rockville, Maryland, and there are 167 offices across the country. The headquarters establishes regulatory principles and professionally reviews documents for the approval process of drug or food. The field offices are mainly in charge of surveillance, inspection, laboratory work, and the education for the public. The agency has more than 10,000 employees, which include physicians, scientists, consumers, safety inspectors, and office workers. In the orientation at FDA, there is a saying the lecturers tell new employees to emphasize the close relation of the agency to the lives of Americans. FDA-regulated products account for about 25 cents of every dollar spent by American consumers. This means the 25% of the total consumption in the United States is directly related to the agency. The FDA, indeed, are deeply involved in the lives of Americans. The items regulated by the FDA include food additives, medicine, and radioactive consumer or medical products. The total value of the items is at approximately 1,200 trillion won a year on a pro forma basis, which accounts for a quarter of all consumption in the United States. Also, the food market of the United States takes up 19% of the global market, and their cosmetics and medical devices market are the largest in the world in terms of the technology and market size. Since the country takes up 34% of the global pharmaceutical industry, the agency's approval is the essential step to enter the American market, and the FDA-approved product is the indication that the business has successfully entered into the global market. The FDA's system presents compulsory approval and control to protect consumers. The system was first introduced in 1930 and stipulated on the base of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act. The regulated area is across the United States. The items subjected to its regulation include food, food additives, health supplements, cosmetics, medical devices, pharmaceuticals, biological medicines, veterinary drugs, and radioactive products. Also, the regulation also applies to electronics such as cell phones, lasers, and microwave ovens, which emit electromagnetic waves or ultraviolet rays, or have harmful influences on the human body. Without the approval from the FDA, any kind of marketing in the United States is legally prohibited. Information about each product and regulation are available on the FDA website. Food. Food is generally tested for heavy metals, safety, microbiology, nutrition. Acidic and acidified food must be registered with the manufacturing factory and the production process for the FCE, Food Canning Establishment, and SID, Submission Identifier, number before exporting to the United States. Based on the nutrition test, each nutrient must be written exactly with the daily intake in the nutrition fact. Cosmetics. The cosmetics sold in the United States must comply with the FDA's regulation for packing and labeling. Generally, safety tests are conducted and tests for skin irritation, eye, and acute oral toxicity test are conducted if necessary. For the VCRP, Voluntary Cosmetic Registration Program, information about the company, products, raw materials, import buyers is required. Also, cosmetic products for the disease-curing or preventative purposes. In addition, cosmetic products that are used for treatment and prevention purposes or products that affect the structure or the function of the human body are regarded as medicines, and they are regulated by the principle of both cosmetics and medicine. Chemical substance. The FDA regulations regarding chemical substances such as food packing materials, containers, pharmaceutical packaging materials, various raw materials and additives, metal alloys, coating materials can be pre-arranged beforehand so that the document can facilitate the customs clearance and be used to prove the safety in domestic sales. Products that store drugs should be registered for Drug Master File (DMF). Biological medicines, veterinary medicines, and radioactive products are subject to safety and efficacy tests, depending on the purpose of use. Medical device. All medical device manufacturers, including not only the American companies but other foreign companies, must register their factories or facilities to the FDA through an agent who resides in the United States. Unregistered products are rejected or seized upon the clearance. Medical devices are classified into Class 1, 2, and 3. Class 2, 510K, Special Regulation and Pre-Market Declaration. Class 3, PMA, Pre-Market Approval. Drug. Registration of medicine is classified into the general medicine that does not require a doctor's prescription, and the prescription medicine that requires the prescription. When registered as a medicine, the product can be registered in the Pharmacopoeia of the United States, which allows the prescription by doctors and can display the efficacy and effectiveness of the product. The Bioterrorism Act of 2002. On June 12, 2002, the BTA was enacted to strengthen the safety of food entering the United States after the World Trade Center terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. The main points include: foreign companies must have a U.S. agent who resides in the United States and is familiar with the FDA laws. The food facilities must be registered before shipping the product to the United States. The shipping must be notified before the arrival at the airport or customs. The following steps are the customs procedures and the measures taken in the case of the violation. 1. Random sampling. 2. Detention. 3. Correction and submission of supplementary documents. 4. Re-examination. 5. Refusal. OASIS. OASIS is the operation and management system of the FDA and the U.S. Customs Service for the import assistance. OASIS is an online interactive system that automatically reviews the documents for customs. The system publishes a list of prohibited imports every month on its homepage. There has been a growing need for overseeing the imported products since over the last decade, the imports have increased by 5 to 10% each year and is expected to increase further. In the case of the customs detention of the FDA, the domestic exporting company has to pay the entire expenses, including the carrying charge, the cost for the reapproval, the service fee if the customs clearance company is involved, the cost for the destruction or return within 90 days if the product is rejected for reapproval, the fine that is 3 times the original price if the destruction or return is not carried out. Moreover, the detention leads to the damage to the credibility of the importer, as well as the detention record in the FDA, and may be included in the list of the automated detention. Once the exporter gets on the list, the company is qualified for the credit review that can erase the detention record after 2 years. Therefore, it is most desirable to prevent the detention in advance through the registration, test, and approval from the FDA. Why is the test and registration to the FDA necessary? The FDA is the standard of not only the United States, but of the WHO, within the United Nations system. In terms of pharmaceuticals in particular, the FDA's approval is recognized as an indication of safety and reliability. The test and registration to the FDA allow the export company to facilitate the customs clearance process as a basic requirement in the FTA era, to differentiate itself from the other domestic companies and burnish its credibility, to globalize the products through both domestic and global markets, to innovate the internal quality and accumulate its technology, to improve the marketing that can lead to the increase in sales and distribution. Since these factors are related to the credibility of the product, the test and registration to the FDA definitely contribute to the company's sales growth. They are the basic requirements for companies to break away from the limitation of the domestic market with the advent of the FTA era, to differentiate themselves from the rivals as well as to boost the competitiveness. Dr. Albert Rego, the head of the AK Science headquarters located in the suburbs of Los Angeles, is a consultant with more than 30 years of experience in the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. Asia Branch Manager Kwan Mo-sun served as the FDA's examiner and now consulting the FDA with Albert Rego as the first person in Korea. He started the FDA consulting in 1996. Since then, he has supported the exports to the United States of numerous Korean businesses and achieved more than 70% of profits regarding the domestic FDA consulting. The Asia branch of AK Science in particular has an international reputation by cooperating with the world-renowned Research Institute to help Korean companies to successfully enter the American market. Namsa Lab. Namsa is a laboratory that has had close relations with Korean pharmaceutical companies for more than 40 years, and many clinical trials are being conducted in the facility. With the 40 years of history, the Namsa is renowned for the toxicity testing and the animal experiment. Michelson Lab Incorporated. Michelson Lab Incorporated has been providing international consulting services since its establishment in 1970. And the facility now has a long history of comprehensive tests and laboratory across the industry. Food Safety Net Services, FSNS Lab. FSNS Lab, which provides customer-focused services, began in 1994 as a small laboratory in San Antonio, and now it is a fast-growing, nationwide laboratory in the United States. The facility is renowned for the microbiological and chemical testing. BioScreen Testing Services Incorporated. BioScreen Testing Services Incorporated is a laboratory that many pharmaceutical biotechnology companies choose, and the facility is now participating in various projects for IND, NDA, and ANDA submission. Eurofins Lab. Eurofins Lab, that has more than 250 sites and 25,000 employees in more than 40 countries, is in charge of analytical testing of pharmaceutical, food, environmental, and government services. And the facility is also recognized as a leader among several laboratories in the global markets. WEC Lab. WEC Lab was established in 1964 as a laboratory focused on solving industrial problems, with the aspect of production and environment. In the 1970s, the facility conducted the drinking water monitoring and analysis of groundwater. And now it is building a reputation as a laboratory specialized in the environment. ABC Testing Lab Incorporated. ABC Testing Incorporated is an independent laboratory that provides extensive consulting and testing regarding the plant. The facility has the know-how in the analysis of plants and microbial contamination using biochemical and wet chemistry methods. Many companies have already been entering the global market through the Asia branch of the AK Science and other international research centers. The AK Science Asia branch provided consulting services for the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in 1994, operates the best and largest organization in Korea by establishing the consortium with global laboratories, including NAMSA Research Institute, runs 24-hour consulting service and system. The Asia branch has offices in China, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand, with more than 20 consultants and 20 advisory members who are engaged in consulting more systematically and professionally. Your business and product you have built with effort. The moment you meet our Asia branch, the door to the global market has already opened.